Good evening, all. Good evening, all. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We've got quite a large audience today. Welcome to everybody. I will get us started by asking Councilwoman Haith to lead us in prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come before you on this day, just thanking you for another day, for this is the day that you have made, and we've been glad in it all day and rejoice. We ask that you bless this meeting, God. Continue to give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to do the duties of Talbot County. We thank you for everyone that's assembled in this room on tonight. We ask that you bless everyone that's represented here, every family, every individual, every staff member that's under our guidance. And Lord, we thank you for this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll do these. Do we do one at a time?
Yeah. No, that's it. All right, welcome all. Council President Chuck Callahan is excused this evening, as is Councilmember Dave Stepp, so we're at our minimum quorum of 3 council members. Our first item, the council has an agenda before it. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, at this time, Councilman Lesher, I'd like to amend the agenda for acceptance of the absentee ballot from Councilman Stepp.
Second.
We have a motion and second for an amended agenda. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And we will. Do we just do a motion at the top to accept that, or when the item comes?
Yes, I think we're fine.
All right. So we'll get through these first 3 items and then call for that. We have before us the minutes of the October 8th meeting. Council's had an opportunity to review those minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Nope. No.
Hearing none, the chair moves that the minutes be approved with unanimous consent. And without objection, the minutes are approved. We have disbursements of November 5th and November 12th, 2024. Are there any questions on the disbursements?
No.
Nope.
Hearing none, the chair moves that the disbursements be approved by unanimous consent, and the disbursements are approved. At this time, I'll entertain that motion to accept the absentee ballot of Councilmember Stepp.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
Will the clerk call the roll? This is to accept the absentee ballot from Dave Stepp, because Council President Chuck Callahan already declared his intent. His ballots will also be valid at this meeting.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. We can move on to the proclamation for Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Month for November 2024. And could we see a representative of the Commission on Aging, Rachel Smith, and I know that you're being joined by a number, our housing coordinator, Shalonda Collins, the Talbot Interfaith Shelter, St. Vincent de Paul, our Neighborhood Service Center, Talbot County Public Schools, the Midshore Council on Family Violence, and Midshore Behavioral Health. I presume we have representatives of all those here. Thank you all for being here. Ms. Smith?
Jenna, who is our Vice President of the Talbot County Commission on Aging, and she is also heading up the subcommittee for the homelessness awareness here in Talbot County that we've been working on, is going to accept this proclamation for us today.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Jenna Markey, as Rachel said, with the Talbot County Commission on Aging. We've been having discussions about what are the issues that affect seniors in Talbot County. Most recently, our discussion of housing has evolved a little bit into a conversation of housing insecurity and homelessness, and specifically among seniors. Obviously, we have lots of community partners here that represent folks of all ages, but where this conversation started was, and obviously thank you to Lynn for helping facilitate the proclamation here today, as well as all of the county council. Obviously homelessness and hunger does affect everybody across all age groups, but older adults is the fastest growing age group of people experiencing homelessness. And we've seen all of those trends transcribed in the shore here, both Talbot County and regionally. And so it's just very important that, people in the county know there are homeless people here. There are seniors that are homeless. We've heard some scary stories of folks that don't have homes getting procedures at the hospital, being discharged to a hotel for a night, and then expected to go back to a tent where they've been living. So, we're hoping to continue to bring awareness to the issue. The proclamation is a great first step. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I have any questions from council?
No, just grateful to have you here and doing the work that you continue to do.
I will ask the clerk to read the proclamation into the record.
Proclamation Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Month, November 2024. Whereas November is recognized as Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Month to bring attention to the plight of individuals and families experiencing hunger and/or homelessness, which affects people of all ages, genders, races, and backgrounds, and is an area of concern in our community. And whereas there are a myriad of reasons why people experience hunger and/or homelessness, including the shortage of affordable housing, lack of a living wage, trauma, the inability to no longer work due to age or health conditions, expensive or inaccessible health care, serious mental health challenges or substance use, and education of the public is needed to encourage support for hunger and homelessness assistance service providers. And whereas there are many organizations committed to sheltering and providing supportive services as well as meals and food supplies to individuals and families experiencing hunger and homelessness, including Talbot Interfaith Shelter, Neighborhood Service Center, St. Vincent de Paul, Midshore Roundtable on Homelessness at Midshore Behavioral Health, Talbot County Public Schools McKinney-Vento Homelessness Assistance Program, and Midshore Council on Family Violence. And whereas the theme of Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Month is to promote understanding and compassion toward those who are experiencing hunger and/or homelessness, and to advocate for solutions to end hunger and homelessness by providing sustenance and housing stability. And whereas the County Council of Talbot County recognizes that hunger and homelessness continue to be a serious problem for many individuals and families in our area. And whereas the intent of Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Month is consistent with the activities of local organizations working to address hunger and homelessness. Now therefore, we, the County Council of Talbot County, do hereby proclaim November as Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Month in Talbot County, and encourage all citizens to recognize that many people do not have adequate food and housing and need support from citizens and private and public nonprofit service entities. Given under our hands in the Great Seal of Talbot County this 12th day of November in the year of our Lord 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the proclamation?
So moved.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
And that's approved. Councilmember Milky has copies of the proclamation for each of the partner groups. Thank you all for your work in doing this and for being here tonight. If you can each send a representative up forward, and we can take a picture while we're at it.
Should I read them all? I think I know who they are.
Thank you all. We have next recognition of graduates of the Talbot Works Business Academy. And I believe Cassandra Vanhooser, our Director of Economic Development and Tourism, is here to present on this. Welcome, Cassandra.
Thank you, Mr. Lesher. Council. So I'm Cassandra Vanhooser. I'm the Director of Economic Development and Tourism for Talbot County, and I have brought a lot of my friends with me this evening. And we are here to celebrate the graduation of the Talbot Works Business Academy. Our candidates for graduation have completed an 8-week program with Mr. Will Holmes, who is our consultant on this program. And we're here to celebrate their hard work and their commitment. And now the purpose of this program, and I'll let him talk a little bit about it next, is to help our businesses succeed and grow. And we have some really strong businesses in our class this time. We have 8 candidates. We had room for more, but we have 8 really strong businesses who committed to do the program. In the fall's really busy, but they all committed and have completed the program. Mr. Holmes, you want to say something about we call them our babies because we feel like they're flying the nest now.
Thank you, Cassandra. Well, first, I definitely want to thank the Talbot County Council for their support, Councilwoman Keisha Haith for bringing the program here, definitely in conjunction with Ms. Cassandra Vanhooser and Talbot County Economic Development and Tourism and her entire team. They have been absolutely amazing supporting the program. I could not do it without Cassandra and all of her help, recruiting the businesses and also bringing them all the resources they need to be successful after the program ends. The program is 8 weeks long. We focus heavily on cash flow projections as the foundation of the program to ensure that people understand their numbers so they can plan ahead on when to hire people, when to expand, and how much it'll cost. It helps them with their pricing. It helps them with understanding how to access capital and how to build the team that they need so they can really grow and be successful. I definitely want to thank Mr. Scott Warner and the Midshore Regional Council for his support. And of course, our babies, the graduates of Cohort 2, for their 8 weeks of hard work and commitment to growing their businesses and creating jobs here in the region. We look forward to continuing to support Talbot County, and I definitely thank you for the opportunity. My entire team at WHC, we're proud to work here in Talbot County. We thank you for the opportunity, and anything we can do to serve the community, we're here to do so. Thank you.
So this is our second cohort. Our first cohort of 15 graduated in April. We were here with you and had the pleasure of graduating them here. Well, let's talk a little bit about them because one business owner has expanded to Easton and opened a pop-up shop for Waterfowl Festival in the holidays. Another has opened a completely new enterprise and plans to hire a number of full-time employees and part-time. One tourism-related business, who you know well, is on the cusp of opening a new tasting room in St. Michael's and will have their grand opening soon. And another used his small grant to increase his marketing and has leads rolling in and has hired 4 new employees. This is what your investment is doing in this community, and this is why we have asked you and been granted the opportunity to participate in this program. So it's one thing for me to tell you this, but I ask a couple of our candidates tonight to say a few words. So Ms. Anija Wilson and Stephanie DeFiglia will be coming up for just really brief comments about what the program has meant to them.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I'll go first. So I'm Anija Wilson, owner of Libby's Loving Hands. We were founded in 2021 as a non-medical home care agency. We have served families in Talbot County, Queen Anne's County, Dorchester, and Caroline County. So we started as a small group of 4, increased to 45, and have plans to increase to close to 100 after completing this program. We have had great benefit from this program. I've learned a lot about numbers, marketing, laws, HR, and I'm so excited to see what comes from this and grow my business in the community.
And I'm Stephanie DeFigli. I'm a nurse practitioner and owner of Two Tree Integrative Health. We do integrative and functional medicine here on the Eastern Shore, and this program couldn't have come at a better time for me. I had grown pretty slowly, organically through word of mouth, and that only works until it doesn't. So I found myself in a situation where I had hired some new staff and was really trying to figure out how to use them in the best way possible. And the Talbot Works program was really hard. There was a lot of homework. I spent a lot of evenings at my computer when I really wanted to go to bed. But it was very much worth it because it made me look at my numbers in a different way. It made me look at my growth plan in a different way. And I feel like I'm in a much better position now than I was when I started the program. So I don't know what else I could have asked for. It was a really wonderful experience for me.
I think I have to add something to that.
Please.
So while doing this program for 8 weeks, I also had clinicals for nursing school on Tuesdays. So my days started at 4:30 a.m. and ended around 9 p.m. I was very exhausted, but I must say this program was very much, I can't believe that I made it. I had a lot of homework, but again, I have to second, it couldn't have come at a better time. So I want to thank everybody involved for all the support, the county for allowing this program to be able to happen, and can't wait to see the next cohort and cheer them on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your stories. Ms. Vanhooser, do I remember that the county, this county grant came from our ARPA funds?
This did not come from ARPA funds.
Okay.
This came from the Maryland Rural Economic Development Fund, and so that funded the programming. But
Yes.
you have allocated ARPA funds for small grants for the cohorts going forward. So yes,
That's what I'm
absolutely, you
remembering.
contributed to it, and we're very grateful. But I can't say it any better than they did, so I just want to say thank you again to the county council, to all of you for your support, Keisha especially for your idea of bringing this to me. I think it's been 5 years, but we got it done and are continuing to do it because we have Scott Warner here tonight, and I want to say thank you to him because the Midshore Regional Council is funding another cohort for us in the winter. So this will be our third cohort. So it's really making an impact in the county, and we're grateful for all your support. And so with that, I think we're ready to graduate our children,
Terrific. Well,
our babies.
congratulations all, and will the graduates come forward, and Councilwoman Haith will be presenting your certificates.
You want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Certificate of completion. This certifies that Stephanie DeFiglia of Two Tree Health Associates LLC, Kirsten Muller, Another Level Fitness LLC, Edward L. Roberts Sr. of Eddie's Cuts, Naoma Salvaje, 11th House Solutions LLC, Kirsty Shaw, Coastal Retreat Studios and Wellness LLC, Kristen Talent, Right Choice Plumbing and Rooter LLC, Anijah Wilson, Libby's Loving Hands LLC, and Lisa D. Wilson, Beauty of Restoration Treatment Center LLC, have successfully completed the Talbot Works Business Academy, an intensive program dedicated to fostering the growth and success of small businesses in Talbot County.
My turn? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Oh.
Look at Karen Robert.
All right, I think we're good. Thank you, guys.
Lots of enthusiasm.
Good job, Eddie.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
All right, next we have an update from Maryland Environmental Service. Our brief annual update.
Good evening, everybody.
Welcome.
And thanks again for inviting us to provide an update on the Midshore Partnership. If we can get the slideshow up, that would be great. What we wouldn't do with technology these days. Fantastic. So I see some new faces here. So for those that are not acquainted with the Maryland Environmental Service, we are an independent state agency. And we act similar to a public utility where we provide environmental services for state and local government and have been doing so for over 50 years. My name is Tim Ford. I'm the Managing Director for the Environmental Operations Division of the Maryland Environmental Service. And with me is Gary Lasako, who's our project manager and handles our midshore operations. So next slide. We did the introduction. We can move to the next one. All right, so when we were last here, we had come to an agreement in principle on an extension for the Midshore 2 landfill with all 4 counties. Since that time, that agreement has been ratified or executed, and we are now officially have extended the Midshore 2 landfill for an additional 12 years. This partnership is now a 92-year partnership. It was originally an 80-year partnership. It's been a good resource for the 4 counties. It has worked perfectly in my mind. And we're pleased to have extended this agreement to the extent that we have. So it's a benefit to Talbot County and the other 3 counties that are partners. This MOU authorized the extension of the Midshore 2 service period until all the airspace is consumed, which we estimate to be 12 years. So we will now close on March 2042. I will not be here in March of 2024 or 42, but Gary will, I hope.
I hope so.
Here we go. All right, so the agreement itself, we've agreed to pay Caroline County a host fee of $3 a ton. That is effective now. In fact, we have made our first payment to Caroline County, and we will continue so until the termination of the agreement. We are able to fund that through basically restructuring debt. The way the original agreement was written, we bonded that. MES can issue revenue bonds, and those bonds were set to terminate at the completion of the original 20-year term. So we can use the extended debt service or the reduced debt service now to help fund this. So there's no impacts at this point to our tipping fee structure, and we don't intend it or don't expect it to be going forward. Part of the agreement also is that we will, since we'll be extending the agreement, the extended service life on the roads in the immediate area, we will repave River Road from Route 480 to Holly Road. That is currently being, the bid's being developed for that. And then on Holly Road itself, from we have across the street, we bought a farm back when we began the Midshore 2 service period, and we were using that for borrow material for daily cover. So from the entrance to that site to River Road will be paved as well. And again, we're in the process of bidding that out. The landfill currently consists of 3 constructed cells. That's 2, 3, and 4. You know, we don't do anything easy. We couldn't do midshore or cell 1, cell 2, cell 3. So we had to mix it all up. So we've actually built cells 2, 3, and 4. So that leaves us cells 1 and 5, which we are currently in the middle of designing. and we'll begin construction of those next year. And that will bring us through to the completion of all 5 cells and will allow us to utilize all of the airspace that's permitted at the site. So we also have to begin or continue planning Midshore 3, which will be in Queen Anne's County. We are awaiting Queen Anne's County submittal of supplemental zoning and land use information that MDE has requested. We're working on a meeting with MDE and the county to accomplish that. We have done, we have begun phase 2. There are 4 phases to the permitting process. And we're approximately 70% complete on the field work. And you can see the bullets on what that encompasses. That's a hard engineering piece of the design of the landfill. And that's based on site conditions. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gary, because Gary's our numbers guy, and he'll run you through the metrics.
All right. So I won't run through each of the numbers here, but period over period, the waste that we've received in at the transfer station has been more or less on par with what we've seen over, say, the last 4 or 5 years since the pandemic has started. Every year there we take in anywhere between 40 to 45,000 tons of material, and obviously all of that is transferred over to Midshore 2. The only thing of note for you all is our homeowner drop-off facility. We did see a couple thousand more customer visits this period as compared to last period. Some of that has to do with seasonality, being the summer warmer months, but we have seen a little bit of an uptick in use of that facility.
So real quick, some background, because we didn't really explain it in the slide. For the folks that are here that haven't or may not know, Talbot County has employed MES to manage a transfer station in Talbot County that allows local haulers to bring the material locally. It avoids an additional cost for them to transport to Midshore 2. So it's a benefit to those would be passed on to the consumer if that wasn't offered. And we've operated that since we closed Midshore 1.
All right, and so that's the transfer station piece of Midshore 1. The landfill piece, the closed landfill piece, I believe we discussed this briefly in the past, but MDE has promulgated some regulations regarding controlling methane from landfills, and Midshore 1 is subject to that regulation. We have a part of that regulation is if you model your methane emissions, and methane is a greenhouse gas, a very potent one. You model your greenhouse or your methane emissions from the landfill, and they exceed a certain level. That level's the red line there. You've got to install a gas collection system that includes an enclosed flare to basically destroy the landfill gas and the methane that's in it. And again, the purpose of that is to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions in the state. So we have a gas collection system in place. The only thing that we really don't have is an enclosed flare. Our gas collection system in Midshore 1 has 3 utility flares, and we employed an engineering firm to evaluate the effectiveness essentially of those flares and the methane that we're recovering, and basically make an evaluation of whether there's a benefit and is it technically feasible to put an enclosed flare there in lieu of the utility flares. And that engineering firm basically came back and made the recommendation that we continue to use the utility flares, that they have, that there's really no relative benefit of putting an enclosed flare there given the volume of gas that we're producing and the amount of methane in the gas. So we've submitted that recommendation to MDE and are awaiting their decision on that. Aside from the, or not aside, but really the impact to Midshore is that if MDE goes ahead and says, regardless of the effectiveness, you must put in an enclosed flare, there's a significant cost to that. That's likely to be considerably over $500,000 to upgrade that system. So We're waiting on MD's feedback for that.
And the point there is that we're not requesting that we sacrifice any compliance with the new rule. We believe that we adequately meet the requirements of the new rule with the existing flares.
All right, Midshore 2 landfill, tonnage has been up slightly there, period over period. We're generally seeing almost 150,000 tons a year come into that facility. For the first 4 months of this fiscal year, we're up nearly 3,000 tons over the prior fiscal year. Healthy volumes of trash coming in. We're still in cell 3. We are on the last lift of cell 3 before we hit an interim height, and at that point, it's ideal to move out into one of the cells that we hope to be constructing at the beginning of next calendar year. Our Midshore Regional Recycling Program, again, I won't bore you with the numbers, but we average around 3,000 tons per year. You can see the current commodity prices there at the bottom. The metal and plastic has been very favorable. The markets have been very good for quite a while now. Fiber prices have come down recently. Some of that's seasonality, some of it is due to the port issues that plagued Baltimore recently, as well as some of the mills having some downtime for annual maintenance and things like that.
The good news is that the Midshore counties do recycle, and we're happy to continue to provide that service.
So this slide is really just shown to give some context to the slide that follows, but as you can see, for the fiscal year 24 and what has continued into fiscal year 25, our revenues from our recyclables that we collect and deliver to local markets has been strong. FY24 was one of our strongest years, right on line with FY22, and that has put the program in a pretty favorable financial position. So this is a statement of revenues and expenses or costs for last fiscal year. We took in a little over $1 million for the MERP, and our total costs were about $915,000. So we had a net income of nearly $115,000. And if you recall, we renewed the MERP contract with the Midshore counties about 2 years ago. And one of the modifications to that contract was establishing an operating reserve or rainy day fund for the program, so that either the counties or the Midshore 2 operating funds weren't affected if, say, the recycling markets tanked. So it was establishing an operating reserve, and then once that operating reserve was hit, the balance of surplus revenue would be deposited into accounts that are essentially owned by each county, but that MES would hold for the counties. So with the net income of $114,000 last year, we met our operating reserve for this year, which was $331,000. I'm sorry, we had an unaudited year-end balance that included the $114,000 plus money that we had already in that fund. We met the operating reserve, and we've set aside around $26,000 for each county. That can be used for really any recycling or solid waste purpose.
And we'll have a discussion with the counties individually about how they would like to use that money.
All right, just a couple weeks ago, we had our most recent household hazardous waste today at Midshore 1 with the help of Mr. Derek Brummel and of course, Mr. Ray Clark. We had good participation, nearly 400 vehicles. As you can see there, nearly 25,000 pounds of household hazardous waste, almost 10,000 pounds of electronics, and nearly a little more than 6,000 pounds of latex paint. These events continue to be very expensive. This one will be north of $60,000 to conduct, and as you know, we do 2 a year. But it's certainly a benefit to the counties that is very much enjoyed by by the constituents of those counties.
And most importantly, it's keeping it out of the landfills. I won't bore you with the details, but under the current regulations, under RECRA, hazardous waste is generated within a household is exempt from the hazardous waste rules. They can go into a landfill. We obviously want to try to keep them out, so that's the value of these programs.
And finally, we continue to get out in the community. We provided the recycling services at both the summer MML and MACO conferences, and then as we usually do, we provide the recycling services for waterfowl. We also had our environmental dredging and restoration group bring their baby terrapins down to the festival this year, which is always a hit.
So what didn't make the community outreach slide is I'm happy to report again, after close personal communication with Santa, that Santa will be participating in the Ridgely Lions Club annual parade and the Christmas in Ridgely Festival this year. He personally assured me that he would be there, so there we go. For those kids in the audience.
And you said in terms of the county's allocation for the surplus from the recycling program, you'd be circling back with us about
Yeah, that belongs to
proposal.
the counties. Unlike the midshore landfill operations, which is an enterprise fund, those monies are all contained and used to operate the landfill. The MERP agreement is separate from the landfill agreement, and it is run by the 4 counties where MES is the operator. So those funds are held separately from the midshore accounts, and there is a surplus there that is to the county's discretion on what they want to do.
And that surplus is attributable to the market value of the materials?
That's in part. So we have a surcharge that's applied for every ton that comes into the landfill. That's a base fund for the operation, and then those commodity revenues add to that. So when we have good markets, we can generate a surplus.
Okay.
And if we do, good stewardship and manage our costs within the $5.50, the $5.25. I'm getting ahead of myself because it'll be $5.50 down the road. That we have that money's available.
Any other questions from council for MES?
No questions.
Thank you very much for the update.
Great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie.
Okay. Next, we're going to hear from Carrie Ottey and Karine Ireland and maybe Dr. Fahmi for our fiscal year 25 senior care plan. Welcome.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
invitation.
Thank you for having us here this evening.
Thank you.
All right, the floor is yours.
Okay. So thank you for having us here this evening. Tonight we'd like to provide you with our annual update on the senior care program here in Talbot County. Senior care is a Maryland Department of Aging program that's administered locally by Talbot County Health Department. So without the county's support, we would not have such a robust and successful program. So for that, we'd like to come here every year and just thank you for your support. My name's Carrie Ottey. I'm the nurse program supervisor, and with me here is our deputy medical health officer, Dr. Fahmi, who recently joined our team in August. Also with me is Karine Ireland, who's our interim health officer, and our senior services team is here tonight for support. So
Welcome all.
appreciate them coming. So just a brief overview of the program. I know most of you are familiar with it already. Senior Care is a statewide grant program that's funded through the Maryland Department of Aging. Every county in Maryland has a senior care program, but each county's program is unique. It allows for a high degree of flexibility, which is based on the county's resources and needs. It provides services and funds for people who are age 65 and older who might be at risk of nursing home placement. And the goal is to help seniors remain safely in the community as long as possible. So senior care provides 4 core services, the first of which is a screening for eligibility for all available supportive programs that exist. Our staff knows the other resources that are available to seniors and the eligibility criteria, so we refer to any other programs that can also help meet the client's needs. And then the second core service is a comprehensive assessment of individual needs. So this assessment is completed in person during a visit to the client's home, and visiting the home always gives us a really good picture of what's going on in the home. The third service is a case manager to secure and coordinate services. The primary case manager is the nurse or social worker that conducts the assessment, but then we also have 2 part-time case managers that can really delve into any complex or in-depth needs that the client may have. And then the final service is a pool of gap-filling funds that are used to purchase services for those that meet program eligibility. And gap filling is just what it means. It fills in the gaps where, for things that maybe insurance doesn't cover or any other service might not cover. So the history of the senior care program in Talbot County began as a pilot program administered by the health department back in 1982. And it's a formal partnership between the health department, Upper Shore Aging, which is our area agency on aging, social services, and Talbot County government. We're one of only 2 counties in Maryland in which the local health department directly administers the senior care program through their AERS program. The other county is Allegheny out in far western Maryland. So what is the AERS program? The acronym stands for Adult Evaluation and Review Services, and every local health department has an AERS program. We use an evidence-based tool that evaluates the client's physical, cognitive, and psychosocial health, as well as their functional status for their activities of daily living in the home. And this assessment's conducted by a trained registered nurse or social worker. Following the assessment, we develop a detailed care plan that's individualized to address that client's particular needs. So as I said on the last slide, we are one of only 2 counties in Maryland that administer the program through their local health department. And we really believe that having AERS and senior care woven together at the health department is the best model. Our AERS nurses and social workers complete the program required comprehensive assessments and care plans. It's the same assessment that we use for our Medicaid recipients that are requesting home and community-based services through their Medicaid. The AERS program is reimbursed by the state for conducting these assessments. And the AERS nurses and social worker assessors double as our senior care case managers, which thereby reduces the number of staff needed to deliver services. So eligibility determination for the program, enrollment in the program, and services can begin on the day of assessment. It's really a seamless process in this model. When the nurse or social worker makes the home visit for the assessment, they also have all of the senior care paperwork ready to complete at the same time with the client. In other counties, the AERS staff goes out and performs the assessment, and then the client is referred out to the senior care program that might be housed at either the Department of Social Services or their area agency on aging. Our AERS nurses also provide oversight for the personal assistance services that are provided through this grant. So we have a wonderful CNA, Donna, back here who does our personal care services for us. She actually goes into the clients' homes and helps them with bathing, dressing, grooming, and tasks like that. So the required supervision for that is provided by our registered nurses. And then the AERS nurses and social workers also monitor the client's health and functional status, and they can provide feedback and recommendations to that client's medical providers. We also now have access to CRISP, which if you don't know about that, it stands for Chesapeake Regional Information System for our patients. And this is a platform that shares health information. So every week we run a report for our clients to see who might have had to go to the emergency room or the hospital, and then we can follow up with them to see, if there's been a change in condition, do they have new needs that we can help fulfill? So it's really a good process to be able to follow what's going on with the client. And then just overall, the approach of having senior care and AERS working in conjunction at the Talbot County Health Department really highly benefits the clients. They have one point of contact at the health department. They're not getting passed along to another agency after assessment. And they're case managed by a skilled licensed professional in that it's a nurse or a social worker that's their case manager, which doesn't necessarily happen in other counties. So this model is more cost effective. It results in less falling through the cracks for the clients and really provides a better return on investment. We also send out a client satisfaction survey every year to our senior care clients, and I'm very proud to report that in fiscal year 24, we once again achieved a 99% satisfaction rate for the services provided, and that includes 87.4 of the respondents giving the highest possible rating of very satisfied for their services. So who's eligible for the senior care program? They need to be a Talbot County resident that's age 65 or older and have a moderate or severe functional disability. And then they also have to meet financial eligibility requirements that are set forth by the Maryland Department of Aging. So, of course, when I sent these slides to Ms. Moran last week, the Department of Aging had not updated the figures for fiscal year 25, but those just came through the other day. So I'll verbally give you the updates. But for an individual, they now need to have income below $3,998 a month, which is a little bit down from last year. And then for a married couple, it's now a combined income of less than $4,566 a month, which again is a little bit down from last year. And they base these numbers on 60% of Maryland's median income in a given year, so I guess the adjustments must have come through that. Asset limits, an individual needs to have assets less than $11,000, and a married couple would need assets less than $14,000. And the asset amounts haven't changed in years. In fact, I learned just last week that they haven't changed since 1982, when the program was started. So that is probably a future discussion with the Department of Aging. But the asset limit does not include the home they live in or the vehicle they drive. It does include savings accounts, CDs, retirement accounts, any additional properties or homes they may own. So the funding for fiscal year 25 for the senior care program, the Department of Aging Senior Care Grant Award is $160,000 this year, and the Talbot County contribution is $65,000. So that's a total of $225,000 for fiscal year 25. And our plan includes 8% for administration, 36% for case management, and 56% for those direct services to the seniors. So this chart shows the number of unduplicated clients served and the total funding each year for the past 5 fiscal years. The average amount per senior for the fiscal year, it's just the total funds divided by the unduplicated number of clients served. So in fiscal year 24, for the first time in years, we had to start a wait list for services. This is a real pain point for us because these older adults are often in a crisis situation when we encounter them. And being able to get services in place right away really sometimes averts a negative outcome or a placement in a nursing facility. So in fiscal year 24, we had a total of 31 seniors on our wait list for one or more services. And those were new clients that were waiting for new services. We did enroll them right away in senior care and began case management, but they were on the wait list for the gap filling services. Towards the end of the fiscal year, the Department of Aging awarded us an extra $5,000 to clear those wait lists and begin providing services for those new clients. So the 31 that were on the wait list are included in the 207, which is the unduplicated number of seniors served, because we were eventually able to serve them at the end of the year.
At the end of the state fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
By the end of the fiscal year 24, we were able to serve them at the very end with that $5,000. And so for fiscal year 25, the state awarded an additional $4 million to the senior care programs across the state. So of that $4 million, Talbot County received 1%, or an additional $40,000 for the year, in order to sustain those services for the clients that we removed from the wait list and began services. So that's why our grant is up a little bit this year to $160,000 from last year when it was $120,000. So going back to this chart for fiscal year '24, the average amount spent was $918 per client for those gap filling funds. So I always just like to make the point here that the average cost of a nursing home care is $316 per day. So that translates to over $115,000 per year. So I got to thinking about this the other day, and with our budget, with our whole annual budget for the senior care program, is less really than what it would cost just for 2 people in a nursing home to pay for the year. So we end up serving over 200 people with the funds we get that would really only cover 2 people to be in a nursing home for a year. So what our senior care program can do with just $918 per year, if it can prevent or even just delay a nursing facility admission, it's a huge savings in the overall cost of care. So I've referred to these gap filling funds for our clients, but this is exactly what we are paying for with the funds. The gap filling funds are used as a payer of last resort when there's no other resource that's available. So these are things that Medicare doesn't cover and most other insurances don't cover. And the funds are allocated based on identified needs when we do our assessment and plan of care. So the biggest chunk here is our chore services at about 1/3 of our gap filling funds. Chores are really one of the first things that people start to struggle with as they age as their health declines. So things like laundry and vacuuming and mopping floors, cleaning the bathroom become very difficult tasks when you've got mobility issues. And then 23% of our funds went towards the personal emergency response systems, which are the buttons that people wear around their necks or on their wrists. And many of our clients live alone, so it's really important for them to have that access to emergency services should they have a fall or a medical emergency. And then 20% of our funds went towards personal care services. That includes bathing, dressing, grooming. And as I said before, we have a wonderful CNA, Donna, who provides much of this service, but she is only one person, so we also do contract with an agency as a supplement to these services too. And then 12% of the funds went towards prescription medication copays. We really want people to actually take their medicine that their doctor's prescribing, so being able to afford that medicine is really a big part of whether they take it or not. So we do like to help with that. And then 9% of our funds went towards medical supplies. That includes incontinence supplies, durable medical equipment such as shower chairs or bedside commodes, and then our nutritional supplements like Ensure or Glucerna when they're prescribed by a doctor. And then that last little slice of the pie there is that $5,000 extra in the wait list money that we got from the Department of Aging at the end of the year. And then just to give a quick update on some of the statistics for fiscal year '24, these two statistics didn't change a whole lot from the previous year, but 72% of our clients were female and 28% were male, and no surprise there since females have a longer life expectancy in general than males. And then by race, 57% of our clients were white, 43% black or African American. So our program tries to balance out some of the racial inequities, and in a county where about 13% of the general population is black, our senior care program's client base is over 3 times that at about 43%. So we're really wanting to help lessen some of the disparities that exist that some of these older adults have faced their entire lives, and give everyone a chance to age with dignity in the comfort of their homes. Some more statistics by age. Our biggest age group is still our 75 to 84-year-olds. However, this year we saw an increase in our younger age group by about 3%. So our 65 to 74-year-olds increased a bit. And at that same time, our oldest age group, the 85-plus age group, decreased by 3%. So it'll be interesting, I think, to see if that trend continues into the future. And then 58% of our clients live alone. This might be by choice or because they've lost their spouse, or they have no family nearby or really no family at all to help out. So living alone puts them at higher risk for injury, malnutrition, social isolation, anxiety, and depression. Depression specifically is a known risk factor for higher morbidity and mortality. So our program tries to help combat the social isolation by making home visits with our clients. When we deliver supplies, we don't just drop them on the doorstep. We knock on the door and have a face-to-face conversation with the client, lay eyes on them, see how they're doing, and ask them how they're doing. And we also encourage and assist our clients to attend programs like the Senior Center or Adult Medical Daycare for socialization. So monthly income, about a third of our clients are living at or below the federal poverty level. Over half of our clients are living on less than $1,500 a month, and then pretty much all of them are living on less than $2,500 a month. And then as you can see in the sidebar there, 41% of our clients have Medicare only. They don't have any supplemental insurance to cover that 20% that Medicare does not pay for services like doctor's visits. So these clients are financially responsible for those co-pays, which can really add up quickly. Some of our clients have low enough income that they qualify for partial or full Medicaid that covers these co-pays. And then some of our clients do pay for supplemental health insurance plans, but these can cost upwards of $300 a month, which is a real struggle on a fixed income. And then our client's functional status. Our assessment includes an evaluation of the client's functional abilities. So these activities of daily living include things like bathing, dressing, toileting, walking, meal preparation, chores, managing their own finances, and other tasks. And we assess and generate a score based on whether the person can do these tasks independently, whether they need some assistance, or whether they need total assistance with those tasks. So as you can see, 40% of our clients fell into the severe category of needing help with their activities of daily living, and about 60% had a moderate impairment that needed some assistance. And then in the sidebar there, 37% of our senior care clients received a nursing facility level of care. So what does that mean? A level of care is generated after we submit our assessment, and it can be either auto-generated by the system based on the responses, or it's reviewed by a physician for determination. But 37% of our clients are living in the community and needing the level of care that would be provided in a nursing facility. And that care is being provided by family caregivers and some by public assistance programs such as ours. So we couldn't do it without our partners. We have lots of community partnerships, and we work together to support our clients. First, Talbot County government providing the support and funding for this program. The health department supports us with building space and staffing, including fiscal and administrative support. Our area agency on aging, Upper Shore Aging, provides us with support to run the program, as well as other programs that support our clients, like Meals on Wheels, Caregiver Respite, Senior Centers, the Senior Health Insurance Program, and the Senior Assisted Living Subsidy. And then Talbot County Department of Social Services, we have a close partnership with our counterparts over in Adult Protective Services. They provide additional funding and case management for particular client issues, and we often share clients. And then the Talbot Commission on Aging provide, in general, support for aging issues, as well as support from the Senior Supply Drive, which collects donations of incontinence supplies from our community. And to date, those donations have exceeded over $20,000 in value since the drive started a few years back. So that's been a really successful program that helps us offset our costs. And then we have numerous other partners that I've listed there, but I won't go through them all right now. So program challenges. One of the challenges is the increasing number of seniors in the population. Talbot's projected to have a 15% increase for the population of ages 60 and over from 2020 to 2030. So this is a map from the Department of Aging's State Plan on Aging for 2022 to 2025. And as you can see, Talbot's projected to be in the top 2 counties for percent of seniors in the population by 2030. So it'll be interesting to see whether this prediction holds true for Talbot County with our limited affordable housing for seniors and long wait lists for existing senior housing. It'll be interesting to see. And then the Department of Aging is working on a new initiative called Longevity Ready Maryland. So the final plan is expected to be published in mid-2025. But Maryland's population of 60 and older is expected to outweigh the number of children 18 and under for the first time in history since the year by the year 2035. So we look forward to seeing the new plan from the Department of Aging and how it might affect Talbot County and what future initiatives might be coming down the pipe for us. And then some more program challenges. We continue to face the same financial challenges in the senior care program that we've had for the past couple of years, which is the increasing costs of goods and services. Since about 2023, we've seen dramatic increase in the cost of incontinence supplies and nutritional supplements and medication copays, the personal care services through the agencies, the personal emergency response systems, and then salary increases for employees. Hopefully the additional grant funding from the Department of Aging this year will carry us through the fiscal year without creating a wait list again. There's also an increasing need for caregivers, both paid and informal, and this is a problem across the healthcare field, especially following the COVID pandemic. It's not unique to us. There's a shortage of direct care workers and a low pay scale. These workers aren't paid adequately for the important job that they do. And then a growing preference for aging at home. People really wish to remain in the comfort of their home setting with their family and friends nearby and neighbors. And then a lot have also either had personal negative experiences at a nursing facility, or they've heard stories from friends and neighbors about negative experiences. So they really wish to try to stay at home if they're able to. And then family caregiver stress and burnout with really limited resources for respite for these caregivers is another big problem. So I'd like to leave you with a few short thank yous from the clients themselves. We asked our clients and their caregivers, what does the Health Department's senior care program mean to you? And just a few of their responses here in their own words. I'd like to take the time to express how much Talbot County Health Department's senior program means to me and my family. My mom is 90 years old and has a cancer called multiple myeloma. She's also dealing with chronic kidney disease and has slight dementia. We live day by day with her health issues. My mom does chemo and checks in with her kidney doctor often, meaning at least 3 doctor visits a week. My mom's caseworker, Judy, at the Talbot County Health Department does a wonderful job talking with my mom and making her feel comfortable and providing her with the services they offer. She gives my mom time to talk, and I personally feel that's a blessing. I'm my mom's full-time caregiver, and it's the hardest job I've ever had in my life. Without these services, I'm wondering where I would find help. I feel beyond blessed to have the help that we receive and the people who give it to us. All the employees at the Talbot County Health Department senior program are wonderful. And then our next letter, I first became acquainted with the Talbot County Health Department senior program during one of the most traumatic episodes of my life. But through the kind, caring staff, it became my good fortune to be enriched in so many ways with help and always good advice and direction. I have so much gratitude for my experiences with them. And then next, thank you for the wonderful care your team has provided my mom. Your kindness and attention to detail really make a difference. I know it's made me feel at ease since I live in Florida. We are deeply grateful for the compassion and professionalism shown by your team and appreciate how you guys make my mom feel comfortable and safe whenever you drop off supplies or provide a service. Your patience and understanding with my mom are invaluable. We're so appreciative of the extra effort your team put into caring for my mother. We couldn't have asked for a better team. And finally, we appreciate very much the help we're getting. Donna Jenkins not only helps my mother with her personal needs, but her cheerful personality helps lift my mother's spirits each time she comes. The benefits of this program are immeasurable for my mother's health and well-being. So in conclusion, we just want to extend a heartfelt thank you to you all for continuing to support our senior care program. We would not be able to serve the number of clients that we do and give quality services without the additional county funds. I also want to thank Upper Shore Aging for being here tonight to support us. Director Mr. Herb Kane is here, and Kate Stinton, who's a nurse and social worker with the program, are out here to support us tonight. And then a lot of members from the Commission on Aging are here tonight too, so I appreciate them sticking around for this. Thank you to Karine Ireland, our acting health officer, Dr. Fahmi, and then our team back there for supporting us too. So I want to give really a huge thank you to the senior services team. I'm so privileged to be able to be a part of this team. They are the most caring, dedicated professionals that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And combined, this team has about 123 years of experience in the AERS and senior care programs. So I just want to give a quick shout out to them, and if they could stand up when I say their names. So our nurses, Kimberly Mitchell, Veronica Reinbold, and Judy Fauntleroy. And then our social workers, Mary Sellers and Debbie Toth. And then our wonderful CNA, Donna Jenkins. And then care coordinator, Marcy Stinson, couldn't be here with us, but she provides case management for our clients too. So these ladies, they're the ones really that that make this program special. They're the ones that bring the, you know, the heart and the caring, and I'm always impressed daily with the relationships that they create with clients and the trust that these clients have in them. So just a big thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Fahmi, did you have anything more?
Appreciating very much, obviously, your support. Without your support, we cannot have done that. And with the leadership of Ms. Carrie Ottey is amazing. I mean, it's humbling to work with this kind of leadership and support of people. And it's very clear from the community input how heartfelt they serving selflessly and giving all that they can offer with whatever resources they have. But definitely the county council and leadership is sincerely and appreciatively thankful from the department in your constant supply of knowledge and help and finances, and your constant support is really appreciated by the department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I continue to be impressed with how much you can do, how much of an impact you can do with really what are incredibly modest resources, but also by the evidence of the depth of the need here with the first-time waiting list this year. Any questions from council?
No questions, just a comment. 2 months ago, I had the opportunity to work with the health department with my mother-in-law, who had taken a severe fall because she has Parkinson's. And I cannot remember who assisted me, but your offices are truly wonderful. Without your services, she probably would not have been able to stay in her home. And that would have been disappointing to her, having been in the healthcare herself. Did I talk to you? You're nodding your hair in the back. No.
I think it was Kimberly.
Was it you, Kimberly? Okay, because I didn't have my notepad with me because I was writing down notes, because so many times when you sit here and you have to deal with a lot of the agencies on a personal level, it really does my heart good for the work that this council does to see it at work in the community. So thank you, Kimberly, for taking the time to help me navigate through that, because it's critical, and it is a complex system that I wasn't even aware of to navigate. So thank you for all that you do. I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And the senior center too, Chaldine, helping my mother-in-law with Meals on Wheels. I mean, when you see the community at work personally, when you sit in this seat, it really does do my heart well. So thank you for all that you do. You guys are very humble. You're appreciated for all the hard work that you do. I know healthcare is very tough. But I truly do appreciate all the hard work and all the senior citizens that you work with in this community. And I know that you need more money. I know that you need more money. So we need to work on that. But again, I wanted to personally thank you, because that was my testament. I would not have been able to navigate that without your assistance. And the inshore just saves you. I mean, I called around for nursing homes, my estimate was $8,800 a month. And she was a LPN, so she has insurance plus, so thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the kind words.
Well, you brought your own testimonials, but you just got one from the dais. We have before us the fiscal year 25 senior care plan that's just been summarized for us. We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky? Aye. Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you all very
Thank you
much.
all.
And all the
Very much.
partners, thank you. Okay, next up, we have a council discussion of a proposed text amendment. Is Mr. Talton here to help us through this?
Good evening, Council. Brennan Tarleton, Planning Director for Talbot County. And with me tonight is Bryce Shelton, Assistant Planning Director for Talbot County. The application before you this evening is I'm sorry, would you like me to wait for Ms. Hayes to return?
Maybe we should give her just a moment.
Okay.
Keep her up to speed with the rest of us. We'll recess for just a moment. Yes, with only 3 members present tonight, we can't afford to lose a vote, can we?
I figured as much.
Go ahead, Mr. Charlton.
So Council, before you this evening is an application for rezoning submitted on behalf of Shanahan Holdings and Destination Lodging LLC. The agent for both of these entities is Ryan Showalter. I believe he's here in the room this evening to explain the application further in depth if need be. The supplemental narrative that was provided by the applicant basically goes over the request of the application here for the rezoning. Essentially what we're looking at is the Shanahan Well property and a portion of the St. Michael's Inn property that are located on the south side of Maryland Route 33 as you enter into St. Michael's. Those properties, as depicted on Exhibit C submitted by the applicant as part of their application today, the St. Michael's Inn property is currently split zone between general commercial and town residential, and the Shanahan Well property is zoned entirely town residential today. The request is to essentially rezone both of the TR portions of those properties to general commercial. It's our understanding that the Shanahan Well property has been improved since the 1970s with the well operation being conducted on site, and the St. Michael's Inn property was approved and improved sometime in the 1980s. Both of those land uses currently are not permitted in the town residential zoning district. They are permitted by right in the general commercial zoning district. And as part of a rezoning request from the applicant under the state's regulations, there are the Maryland change or mistake requirements that are required to be met as part of the application. The applicant has contended here in their application that this is a mistake in the existing zoning classification of a portion of the St. Michael's Inn property and the entirety of the Shanahan Well property. As part of the application process, it comes before council for an introduction and a recommendation to staff to review the application and provide a recommendation to the Planning Commission, and then the Planning Commission would then review that application and provide a recommendation to you all. And at that point, the application would then be considered for introduction of legislation.
And Mr. Charlton, could you I explain, when we have a property that has split zoning, how does county code deal with that situation? I mean, clearly the one is completely out of in need of this, but how does that impact the lodging property?
Typically, depending on whether or not, well, inherently, today both uses are considered non-conforming in their own respect in that zoning designation, so they're allowed to continue to exist in the form in which they do and are subject to the requirements of the non-conforming section of the zoning code. But when a property is split zoned, obviously there are adherence to two separate zoning standards typically, which include setbacks and permissible uses, as well as site coverage and other facets of the bulk requirements in the code. This particular one, being greater than 1 acre in size and zoning designation, does inherently split the zoning on the property from TR and GC. In other instances where you have a smaller or a minor overlap in zoning designation that touches a property, typically the underlying zoning or the greater portion of the property that is zoned within the primary zoning on the parcel would be the governing zoning, so to speak. But in this instance, you have a split zone parcel that has essentially two zoning designations that it must adhere to.
Because of its size, that greater portion rule doesn't apply in this case?
Correct. So the portion of this property is required to adhere to the TR zoning regulations within that zoning designation on the property, which essentially follows the critical area designation on the property as well. And I will add both of those properties. A portion of the St. Michael's Inn property is within the critical area and designated as LDA, Limited Development Area, and the entirety of the Shanahan Well property is within the critical area and designated LDA as well.
Okay, which impacts lot coverage.
Yes, that's correct. It allows for a little bit more leniency and density and usage of property in the critical area, but it does not preclude a property from adhering to that 15% lot coverage requirement. In order to do that, you would have to request or come forward with a growth allocation request to reclassify the property as IDA, which the applicant is not doing here. They're not reclassifying the critical area designation of the property. They're simply requesting the rezoning of the property.
Okay. And the requested action from the council tonight is to sponsor this, to be able to refer this to staff and the Planning Commission?
Yes, so this would be a referral from the council to staff to prompt staff to go forward with actually reviewing the application, submitting a recommendation to the Planning Commission for their review and consideration, and then ultimately the Planning Commission will provide their own recommendation, which will both be relayed to you all in consideration of introduction of legislation.
Okay. Mr. Thomas, do you have a recommendation for how we approach this procedurally?
I think typically with other zoning matters, we would just be looking for council direction to refer this to the Planning Commission for review and recommendation.
By show of hands, by motion and second?
It doesn't require motion. Under the zoning code, any one member can do it, so I think you could do it by show of hands,
Okay.
indicating your intent. It doesn't require motion.
By show of hands, any council members wish to sponsor this?
Yes.
So we have 3 council members who will refer this to staff and the Planning Commission.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up is the introduction of an administrative resolution. I will ask the clerk to read that, the title into the record.
Administrative resolution to change the starting time of legislative sessions of the County Council of Talbot County, Maryland. Will you read the entire thing?
I suppose we could, it's not a long one. I suppose we could share this.
Okay. Whereas pursuant to Section 212G of the Charter of Talbot County, the Charter, the County Council of Talbot County, Maryland, the County Council, shall adopt and publish rules of procedure not inconsistent with the provisions of the Charter and may amend the same from time to time. And whereas pursuant to the foregoing authority, the County Council has adopted rules of procedure, and whereas pursuant to Section 1B1 of the Rules of Procedure, the County Council shall meet at least twice a month on Tuesday at a time determined by a majority of the County Council, with the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month being reserved for legislative sessions. And whereas legislative sessions of the County Council typically start at 6 p.m. And whereas on June 13th, 2023, the County Council adopted an administrative resolution for the purpose of changing the starting time of its legislative sessions to 5 p.m., the intent of which was to have legislative sessions start earlier during the summer months. And whereas on September 12, 2023, the County Council adopted an administrative resolution for the purpose of changing the starting time of its legislative sessions to 6 p.m. in the months of October through May, and 5 p.m. in the months of June through September. And whereas the County Council is desirous of changing the starting time of its legislative sessions to 5 p.m. beginning November 26, 2024, and continuing thereafter until and unless changed by further administrative resolution of the County Council. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of Talbot County, Maryland, that all legislative sessions of the County Council shall start at 5 p.m. unless otherwise specified by a majority of the County Council. Be it further resolved that this administrative resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption. Introduced by the County Council of Talbot County, Maryland at a regular meeting on November 12th, 2024, at which meeting copies were available to the public for inspection. Adopted by the County Council of Talbot County, Maryland at a regular meeting on November 12th, 2024, at which meeting copies were available to the public for inspection. Given under our hands in the Great Seal of Talbot County this 12th day of November in the year of our Lord, 2024.
Thank you. Do we have, by show of hands, any council members who wish to sponsor this? We have a couple of council members, so this is an administrative resolution which does not require a public hearing or a delay to be scheduled. Is there any discussion on the resolution?
No.
Hearing none, the matter is eligible for a vote. I will ask the clerk to call the roll. And we have absentee ballots for this as well.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes without opposition. So this will take effect then at our next meeting on the 26th.
Correct.
At 5 o'clock will now be the new meeting time. All right. Next up, we have the introduction of a numbered resolution. We'll ask the clerk to read the title into the record.
A resolution to formally close Wally's Way and Bethany Lane as county roads and authorize the conveyance of certain real property described in a deed dated December 14th, 1984, and recorded among the land records of Talbot County, Maryland, at Liber JTB number 594, folio 423, to Chamberlain LLC for no monetary consideration.
And Mr. Thomas, do you have the explanation of this one for us?
Yes, I do. I was contacted by Zach Smith in September on behalf of his clients who own the property located at 12354 Wally's Way in Cordova. So the county owns a 50-foot wide strip of land that bisects that property, It was conveyed to the county to accommodate Wally's Way, which provides access to the property from Tapper's Corner Road. So Wally's Way and Bethany Lane, which is also located on the property, are county roads and part of the county road system. The owners are now trying to sell their underlying land, and they reached out to the county about to see if the county would convey that 50-foot strip of land and close the 2 roads on the property so that they can sell it unencumbered. County staff, including Brian Moore, have confirmed that neither the strip of land nor these county roads are needed. The roads are only maintained intermittently, and I believe the last time it was done was on the property owner's request. They're not being used by the public, and there's really no need for the county to keep that strip of land over the property. So that's a summary of the request.
These roads serve just one lot, one property.
Yes.
Curious, was there an intention to subdivide this at one point that created a county road onto this private lot?
I think the Bethany home was located on the property at one point, and this was probably back in the 70s or 80s. But it no longer exists. The property is owned by an LLC, and nobody else is making use of the roads and the strip of land. So that the ask is for the council to close the roads and convey the strip of land.
And tonight our duty is simply to ask for a show of hands to sponsor this resolution.
Yes.
So by a show of hands, do we have sponsors for this resolution? So sponsored by council members Lesher, Haith, and Milky.
This will be known as Resolution Number 364, and the public hearing will be held on Tuesday, December 10th at 5:30 p.m.
Does that give us enough time for the 3 weeks? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up is our county manager's report. Mr. Stamp.
Good evening, council. Hang on, I got a few things that I need to go over with you this evening. So the first are board and committee appointments. The first one will be Commission on Aging. We're asking council's support for the appointment of Rachel Cox for Talbot Department of Emergency Services, and Mr. Andy Hollis, President and CEO of Delmarva Community Services. Both are interested in serving on the Commission on Aging.
We have a motion for those appointments.
Yes. So moved. Second.
I'll take that as a motion and second. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
The next, the Talbot County Fire and Rescue Association is submitting the name for a spot on the Emergency Services Advisory Board of Mr. Morrissey Sonny Jones for appointment.
We have a motion for that appointment.
So moved. Second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
The next is the Frederick Douglass Park on the Tuckahoe Committee, requesting council's consideration for a reappointment of Harriet Lowry to serve on that committee.
We need a motion.
Moved. Second.
We have a motion and second. Would the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Next is the Historic Preservation Commission. Mr. Brian McGonigal is interested in being considered for the appointment of on the Historic Preservation Commission.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion second. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay, and the next would be the Maryland Association of Counties Legislative Committee. This is a committee made up of council members, asking council's concurrence to have Keisha Haith as a primary and Lynn Milky as an alternate member of that committee.
I guess we're making our own motion.
Oh, yeah.
That's permissible.
That's permissible.
That's absolutely
So
permissible.
Are you considering whether to support that or not?
Do we have a second?
Oh, did she make the motion?
She made the
Yes.
motion.
I didn't hear her, sorry. Sure, second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Thank you for that one. The next one we have is Talbot Family Network. The Board of Directors is recommending the appointment of Matthew Savan to serve on the network.
Motion to approve. Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Thank you. And finally, under Board and Committee appointments, this is the Weed Control Committee. Jay Shortle's term expired July 1st of '24. He's been serving in that role. He is interested in being considered for reappointment. Again, that's Jay Shortle.
Motion to approve. Second.
And would the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Okay,
thank
each of
you.
those appointments pass without opposition. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Council. We'll move into other items on the County Manager's Report. I'm going to ask Brian Lacates, your Director of Emergency Services, and Mr. Tommy Hadaway, the Director of Department of Technical Services, to come up and join me. The next four items are dealing with a planned effort project. This is the build out of our new 911 center to be located at Mary's Court on the second floor of that facility, with the sheriff on the bottom floor. And we're excited about this. We hope to have you out there cutting a ribbon on it this spring for the move-in. But they are both here to support me. There are four recommendations, or there are four asks for funding. The funding is in place in our capital improvement program budget, capital outlay, and they will mention also, in addition to this, the money that we'll be seeking from the state trust fund for 911, which is substantial. So it's a partnership. So the exciting news, and not to take too much thunder away, we'll have a new 911 center at Mary's Court. We will have a fully operational backup at Port Street, which will put us in good position. So let's start out with Brian, if you don't mind.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Stamp, and thank you, Council, for having us here this evening. So, as Mr. Stamp alluded to, we are asking for four different requests for funding. These are items that were in the FY25 budgeting process that we had talked about extensively during that time, and now we're to the point that we're ready to expend some of those funds and start really building this building, or outfitting the building. The building is already there. As Mr. Stamp had talked about, this is a partnership with us in the state of Maryland, with Talbot County and the state of Maryland, for a public safety answering point, a 911 center. So we are eligible for funds through the trust fund of the 911 board, where we will be asking them for $5.7 million, and that's their contribution to really build this center out. And that's a lot of technology, some furniture, some technology, a lot of different items. There's certain items that they're not able to cover based on their charter and what they're allowed to cover. So that's when we come to the Talbot County Council and request funding for those items that we're not able to get through the trust fund. So the first item, I'll turn it over to Tommy, our Director of Technical Services. The first three items are very technical related, and he would probably be the better person to talk to you about that. So, and then the last one I'll pick up.
So the first item is the networking equipment required for the 911 center to occupy that building. The numbers board, as Brian said, will fund the call taking process, but the computer systems and the networking, Wi-Fi, all the things that are outside of that actual call taking process will need to be funded by the county, and that is the first request for 911 networking equipment.
And that procurement is $670,152.27, which is within the capital improvement project budget. Procurement will be piggybacking on a state of Maryland contract.
There any questions on that one? If not, are we ready for motion?
Motion to approve.
I think we should do. Let's take these one at a time.
Motion to approve the request. Second.
Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
You want to go with number two? You want me to read through?
I'll go. So the second request is to Easton Utilities. This is for redundant fiber from Port Street to Mary's Court. We currently have a single connection right this minute through Easton Utilities. What we're asking from them is for a redundant connection, basically so that in the event of a storm or a backhoe, if somebody cuts the current piece of fiber, there is still connectivity to the tower at Port Street. Right now, on a single link, there is a chance of losing that transmitting tower at Port Street. This request would allow for that redundancy. I will also say that the quote from Easton Utilities is again a prime example of the partnership we have with Easton Utilities. They've provided an incredible amount of assistance to the county, and we would not be able to accomplish what we have without them. So.
And this procurement is for $159,562.44. And again, this is in the FY25 capital improvement project budget.
And I presume that the redundancy that you're talking about, you said, so it couldn't be taken down by a backhoe. This implies that it's going to be routed differently from the existing fiber.
So the request of them is that it transfers a separate route entirely, to the point that it would enter Mary's Court from the exact opposite side from where the current actually enters. So completely redundant out of Port Street, taking different paths through the town, and then back to Mary's Court on two separate paths.
Very good. We're ready for a motion?
Yes. Motion to approve the request for Eastern Utilities to provide redundancy fiber.
Second.
Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Heath?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
And the last technology request I have is to Dell. These are for the computers that are not covered by the 911 board. The 911 board will cover the computers used to actually take the calls, but the other computers used in the 911 center are not covered. Computers that run criminal history information and other monitoring type computers that they have. So that's this request.
And this procurement total cost is $195,810.54, which is within the FY25 capital improvement project budget. Procurement will be piggybacking on the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance.
Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Heath?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
All right.
And the final request we have this evening is for office furniture, and this would outfit the whole entire second floor, including offices and training room, which is a shared space between us and the sheriff's office. The procurement request is for $233,496.96. We are asking for this to be a sole source through, I'm sorry, it is not sole source, it is piggybacking on the Maryland State contract to Duron, which is a Han furniture dealer here. So as we started building this out, we did reuse as much as we possibly could, and we've actually worked with a state agency that is repurposing some furniture to get some free stuff, so which is good. This is the items that weren't covered. So.
Any questions on this?
No.
If not, do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Heath?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
All right.
Thank you, Council, for your support for this exciting project.
It is. Thank you all.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the time and support.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
We appreciate it.
Okay, I'll ask Ray Clark to come up. The next item we have, Council, is a recommendation to award bid 2207 Engineering Services Comprehensive Water and Sewer Plant Update, report of the review. Council's request Department of Public Works provided additional information regarding work done by RAL Incorporated on Amendment Number 1 bid 2207, and is requesting council approval to modify the county's contract with RAL Incorporated at a cost of $36,654 to complete the 2024 report of the review. Total cost of contract, $166,184. There are sufficient funds in the FY25 budget, and Ray has talked to you about this before. He's here to answer some questions.
Oh, it's different on here.
Good evening. Again, Ray Clark, County Engineer. Just for the council, we did get the, I guess, the time information from RAL for the individuals that actually charge time to the project that are work for RAL Incorporated. So they provided that information to the county, and we forwarded that on to the council for your all's support to our request here. Added that information. The other thing I just note too is that we have, in my office, we've been working very hard to get the 2024 report of the review wrapped up. And at this point in time, we have roughly about, I guess, maybe about 26 hours of RAL principals as well as their engineers that would assist us with the Adobe setting this up so we have it on our internet. So they would be helping us with that Adobe setup with the final report of the review. So one of the things we are looking at doing with the council is present you all with the hard copies with the track changes, as well as a without the track changes, and a hard copy to the council, hopefully in 2 weeks. And then from that standpoint, work with the council to potentially go make this public as a draft document for the public's review, as well as the Planning Commission, MDE, and the Public Works Advisory Board. But we wanted to give the council the opportunity to review that first. And then again, we have roughly, as part of this change order, about 26 hours of additional route time to assist us with the processing of that on the internet or on the website, which is included in the total that we have here. So it's part of the change order.
And Mr. Clark, can you describe the how this change order came about?
Yes. During the process of the development of the report of the review, we ended up engaging, I think, in a number of meetings, both with the municipalities, as well as we moved from basically about a once-a-month meeting to weekly meetings with RAL, based upon the interactions that we were having with the general public, the Public Works Advisory Board, and the Planning Commission. That ended up resulting in additional time being expended by RAL Incorporated during that process. And then what ended up happening is we ended up utilizing, let's call it the phase 2 portion of the contract, which is the development of the comprehensive water and sewer plan report. Ultimately, as part of this, is to cover the total cost. And then the change order amount is basically to get us to the point of completion of the 2024 report of the review.
And so those changes were at the request of county?
Yes, yes.
Are there other questions from Mr. Clark on this one?
The changes that were requested, they didn't involve Lakeside, did they?
No, this was associated with time. And again, I would say, for the general public as well, because of the potential concerns with the conflict of interest that RAL may or could have with the Lakeside development, the county actually did all of the drafting of the maps for all the municipalities as well as our private entities. In addition to that, we also, my office, I was the principal author of the water and sewer sections for the town of Trapp and the town of Oxford, and then provided those to the towns for their review and approvals as part of the draft document that we have today. So they were not involved in that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Any additional questions on this one?
Nope.
If not, are we ready for a motion?
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Would the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayth?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Thank you, council. And with the patience of Ladarian, Blake, and Eric, I want to keep Ray Clark up here. He has one more item, and rather him sit down and come back up. Be patient with me. Ray, you have the next item you want to talk to council about. This is regarding bid number 2310.
That is correct. Council, we did receive bids on October 30th for bid number 2310. This is the installation of the step units, the septic tank effluent pump units. We had basically broken up the package, the bid package, into 10 different bid packages. We had 3 bidders on 2 of the bid packages. I think those bid packages E and F or something of that nature. And ultimately, the first 5, we only had 2 bidders. We have looked at this with MDE, and we're going through the process of trying to figure out how we can lower the overall costs. We had a significant range between 2 of the bid packages, with one bidder being about $200,000, and then ultimately did not bid on the other projects or the other bid packages. And so those came in almost double with the other 2 bidders. What was interesting is that the low bidder has installed these step units for us in the past. And so because of bonding requirements and whatnot that have been set forth by MDE, we are looking to try and modify that with MDE's approval to help try to reduce the overall costs. Right now, we have also done an internal review. A project with the low bidder would end up having, if the property owner received a $25,000 BRF grant, the cost of that property owner would be about $3,500. The other 2 bidders, they would be over $14,000. So that's why we're trying to also look at this as well.
So council, I sat in with Mr. Clark on this, and it was evident to me that in order to create the bid along with MDE, it was a highly complex bid. And unfortunately, the way the bids came in, it became clear that it would become unaffordable for those property owners that wish to be connected. So it was my recommendation, along with Ray's, that we ask council to reject the bids, get back with MDE, see if we can't come up with a better solution on a bid process, and seek other grant opportunities to help drive costs down for the property owners connecting to the sewer system. So I support the request that Mr. Clark is asking for as well.
And we will rebid this and provide the notice to the bidders that were there at the same time, see if we can't also secure additional bidders as well. So we will advise all the bidders of the same.
So we'll need your support through a motion, a vote to reject bids if so inclined.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I know that this is a frustration to you, how long this has been in the process, and I'm sure I'm sure you're chagrined to have to propose to reject bids at this stage of the game.
It's tough.
I appreciate your candor and your expert recommendation on this. We need a motion to reject these bids.
So moved.
Second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Thank you, Ray. I have Eric Lane and Ladarian Blake, Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation here. They have an ask. I asked them to just be present if council has any questions. I'm going to go ahead and make the ask on their behalf. Parks and Recreation Department is recommending the award of bid number 24-18 to the low bidder, Schweitzer Marine Company, LLC, in the amount of $54,395. A total of 3 bids were received for this project. The project is fully funded through the State of Maryland Department of Natural Resources.
Well, that makes it easy.
And they're both smiling. So.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
We have a motion second. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Next time I have council to ask Alan Gerard to come forward. He has a request for a letter of support that he will share with you.
Mr. Vice President, members of council, my name is Alan Gerard. I'm with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Today, on behalf of the Envision the Chop Tank Collaborative, we're here asking your support for a letter to submit to the state of Maryland in support of their Whole Watershed project. Whole Watershed program is an evolution of an assessment by the Chesapeake Bay program's progress on bay restoration. The state of Maryland, just this last General Assembly, responded to that assessment with a mandate to state government to cooperate on investing in 5 watersheds across the state in a deep and effective way. The mandate by the General Assembly asked for the state's agencies to cooperate across sector, Department of Environment, Department of Agriculture, Department of Planning, to streamline permitting and to invest significant resources. Estimates are $20 million per year over a 5-year term in each of 5 watersheds across the state. General Assembly does not ask the agencies to name those watersheds. They challenge the communities across the state to come forward and propose to the state what those watersheds should be. The request for proposals was released in September. The application deadline is December 3rd, and the Envision the Choptank Collaborative is making a request to bring resources to Talbot County, Caroline County, and the municipalities within those jurisdictions that serve the upper portion of the Choptank watershed. In Talbot County, that is Trapp eastward to the Choptank River, Matthewstown Road area eastward to Denton, to give you a sense of the geography where the investment will be made. It's a comprehensive proposal involving efforts to help support agriculture, to help make progress on stormwater and wastewater improvements. And really, it is a community-driven project. Again, Envision the Choptank has a focus on really involving communities in developing the solutions, and those solutions would be proposed and submitted to the state. The request in the letter would ask for the county to name a point of contact. Brendan Tarleton with the planning office has agreed to be that point of contact, and he's named in the letter. The letter also requests the county to name the policies that would be protective of the state's investments. So you'll see a number of those policies listed on pages 3 through 7, some in the narrative in the beginning, and then to support the project in general. So that's the request. No financial commitment, just willingness to be a partner in order to receive the state's support.
Any questions for Mr. Gerard?
No.
The request is for the letter of support. We need a motion to authorize that.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. If the clerk would call the roll, please.
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
All right.
Okay, council, next item I have is requesting council approval of Public Works Agreement for the Talbot County Community Center access improvements for the Regional Medical Center project. Patrick Thomas is here to add any additional, and Ray Clark.
Yes,
Mr.
Council,
Thomas?
you have in front of you, this is the first of 3 agreements you have in front of you for consideration. This is the Public Works Agreement for the Talbot Community Center entrance that was referenced in the amended Development Rights and Responsibilities Agreement that the council previously approved. This is providing for Shore Health's construction of the new community center entrance and roadway and sign relocation. It includes landscaping, stormwater management, and the sign relocation has been approved by the town. Shore Health Systems will be performing the work at its sole cost and expense with town and county oversight.
And with this, the community center and Shore Health will be sharing a common entrance off of Route 50.
Correct.
Any questions? And if not, do we have a motion?
No questions.
No question.
We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion second. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Lusher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
I will keep the number of county manager items down shorter in future meetings. 2 more. You have this other one, right, Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, this is requesting council approval, stormwater management covenants and deed of easements for the Regional Medical Center project. Patrick will share and Ray as well.
Yes, so this is a request, as a result of the council's approval of the previous agreement, the approval of the covenants and the deed of easement for stormwater management are just required by state law as part of that development project, so they go hand in hand.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Your turn next.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Step?
All right.
And finally, council, the Department of Planning and Zoning is requesting council approval to award bid number 1412 to Wallace Montgomery and Associates LLP in the amount of $151,550. Total of 2 bids were received. There are sufficient funds in the FY25 budget. This is hire the consultant for the update of the comprehensive plan and bid 2412. And Brennan is here to add anything as well as Bryce.
Thank you, Glenn. Brennan Tarleton, Talbot County Planning and Zoning. Just wanted to add, as part of the review and recommendation process, the Department of Planning and Zoning developed a consultant selection committee comprised of 2 members of the Planning Commission, a member of the County Council, the County Manager, and myself and Bryce Yelton. As part of that process, we obviously distribute all the copies of the bids, asked each of the individuals to review each of the bids for substance. On October 30th, we met and reviewed the proposals, and it was unanimously decided at that time that Wallace Montgomery was determined to be the best qualified candidate for the job. Following that October 30th meeting, myself and Bryce followed up with the references provided by Wallace Montgomery in their application, and we convened on November 6th of 2024 to discuss the results of the reference checks. At that time, we reaffirmed under unanimous agreement that Wallace Montgomery was the best and qualified candidate for the update of the comprehensive plan. So before you this evening, the committee unanimously recommended the selection of Wallace Montgomery to complete the update of the Talbot County comprehensive plan, and at this point, we've determined them to be the highest qualified and lowest responsive and responsible bidder.
Any questions? If not, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Step?
All right.
Council, that completes your county manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have public comment. Do we have anybody who signed up for public comment? Is there, with nobody signed up in advance, is there anybody present who wishes to offer public comment? If so, please come forward to the table and state your name and address. Last call. We will move on to council comments. Ms. Hayes?
I probably had some, but they've escaped me this evening. Anyway, great job, staff. Yeah. That's all I have.
All right, Ms.
I'll
Milky?
pass. I'll pass.
Nothing for you? I will offer just a couple of brief ones. One, I had the privilege to attend and to participate in Waterfowl Festival this past weekend, which I saw just today in an announcement from the Star Democrat, had an attendance of 25,000. It is hard to overstate the impact economically, culturally of Waterfowl Festival in this community. It is truly an impressive effort, and so driven by volunteers in this community. Thank you to all the members of the community who are involved in any way, even if that is simply attending. You make a difference. Second, I was joined by Councilmember Milky and Councilmember Stepp at the Veterans Day ceremony at the Veterans for Foreign Wars on Glebe Road yesterday. Thanks to the VFW for, I thought, a very meaningful ceremony and presentation recognizing the veterans in our community, of whom there are many. Finally, I will not be present for the November 26th council meeting, our next meeting. I do intend to participate by phone, but just to leave all my bases covered, I intend to leave sealed ballots, and in particular, I must to vote for council officers, one of the agenda items for that meeting. Is there anything else for the good of the whole?
Nope.
If not, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Ms. Hayes?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.